Hello students, very good morning. So students, let's start now the revision on our new chapter, that is fluid mechanics, after the discussion on the conceptual question and numerical question based on the topic from the mechanical properties of solid. So I think in that chapter there is now no confusion, no problems at all to you all. And now let's start our discussion for this one chapter here in fluid mechanics. First of all, as number of times I have told you, as this chapter is very lengthy, so you have to divide the chapter according to topic wise. So here some of the topics that we are studying, we can divide it easily. First of all, the fluid mechanics is divided into two parts, that is hydrostatic and hydrodynamics. After hydrostatic part, you can divide the hydrostatic situation into also two parts. First part is all dependent on pressure, and the second part is for the surface tension. Now similarly, hydrodynamic you can divide also in two parts. First is for the viscous forces or viscosity, and the second is for where we have started to discuss the motion of the liquid, but for the non-viscous liquid like Bernoulli's theorem and along with that equation of continuity and all. So this is now in a way in four part you can divide the fluid mechanics chapter. Now it will be very easy for you to understand, to revise, to solve the numerical problems for this one. So first here we will discuss only the first part of the hydrostatic, that is for the pressure part. Now in the pressure part, as you have studied and you know how many topics we have. So in pressure part, the first topic we have for any kind of fluid, if it is exerting the thrust, then what kind of thrust it is exerting, how can we calculate the pressure applied by the liquid or by the gas. Now next one, after that, where can we apply this information, and then after we have the pressure variation with depth, how the pressure is changing, on which factor it is depending on, and when it will be free from all dependence, like for the Pascal's law, then pressure transmission, applications of that one like hydraulic lift and brake, and then Archimedes principle and also buoyancy, along with that atmospheric pressure. So this is the whole content of the pressure, that will also very you can say big content you have. So first of all, let's revise these topics one by one. So in the first one, as we are going to study the fluid mechanics, means here we will whatever we will study, that will all concern with the topic of the fluid only. So fluids are those materials that can flow easily. Exactly, that's why their name is fluid, like liquid and gaseous system. As solid, you know that have definite shape and size, or indefinite also shape they can have, but they cannot flow like that one, like the liquid or fluid. So they are not contained in the fluid, but in fluid we are studying both liquid and gaseous system. Here particularly our concern is to study about the liquid. After that, in other all concepts like you have seen in the conductivity, thermal conductivity, and in thermodynamics, then kinetic theory, there we have discussed totally about the gases. So I think here you have to put your concentration on the liquid and for fluid properties. Now next one, after the discussion on fluid, the next topic is fluid exerts thrust. How can you explain this? So whenever when we are just dipping some of the bodies in liquid, we are seeing that that body is feeling pressure. That's why you have seen the different depths. Animals have different kind of shape. So it means that liquid or any kind of fluid is exerting pressure or the forces from all possible directions. Now this force is completely normal force, and that's why we are also calling it normal force. So fluid exert thrust. Next one after this, what is the pressure applied by the fluid or any liquid or any of the system, solid system also this is applying the pressure. So pressure applied by any body is defined as force per unit area, and this force should be normal force per unit area. So if we have any body, suppose this is the body, and normal force is applying on this on unit area, so it means it will create pressure P from here. Now next one after this, where we are applying this knowledge of pressure, from here you can see if we have to reduce the pressure, it will increase area, then pressure will be reduced automatically. Like one of the question is asked, girls are wearing very high heel shoes. So high heel shoes are giving more pain in our heels in comparison to the flat shoes or base shaped shoes. So reason is that as high heel shoes heels area are very smaller. So for that smaller area on our foot, greater pressure is applied. So due to that greater pressure, we are starting to feel the pain that time. But when we are using base shaped heels or flats or any kind of footwears, then their area is large, and due to that pressure applied on the foot, that is small, and we are not feeling that kind of pain. Next example, like you have seen the handles of suitcase bags that are making broader. So reason is that while we are carrying that suitcase, then that time if area is kept larger, then that time pressure applied by that on the hand, that will be smaller. So to make the smaller pressure applied on the hand, we are making the handles of the suitcase bag as broader. Next one, after that, like you have seen, if we are using any nails to fit in the ball, then that time the mouth of the nail is very sharp. So reason is that we are keeping the area small, and due to that pressure is increasing, and easily the nail can fit into the balls. Next one, after that, like blunt knife or sharp knife, if you are taking the sharp knife, as it has a smaller area, it is just applying larger pressure. So this is all now the example, daily life examples of here that is pressure, normal pressure that is applied here. After this one, the next topic we have, that is the variation of pressure with depth. So how the pressure is varying with depth here, only as we are doing the revision, I will not just prove it here. Now for example, let us suppose in any container we are taking some liquid. Now at 2 points in the liquid we are going to take. This is P1 point and this is now P2 point, or any other point also, A and B you can write name. Suppose A and B I am writing, and now P1 and P2 are the pressure at this point A and point B. So now suppose this is the cylinder here, that is just containing this point A and B here. You can see this is a imaginary cylinder, and we can see this is the cylinder by using the water column from A to B now. Now we can calculate easily what will be the pressure if suppose here due to this point on this point the force applied is F1 and F2, and if area of the cylinder is A and A both sides, then it means that from here P1 will be equal to F1 into A, similarly F1 upon A, and F2 is equal P2 is equal to F2 by A, or F1 and F2 can be calculated, that is P1 into A, and this F2 is equal to, now we have this P2 into A. Now this force that is applying here, the net force that will be due to the weight of this imaginary cylinder. So weight of, if mass of the cylinder is suppose small and the density of liquid is rho, then that time here the value that is, or the weight of the cylinder that is acting in downward direction for this height of suppose if the distance from A to B, that is h, then that time we can write the net force, that is obviously net force is acting in downward direction. So F2 should be greater than F1. F2 minus F1 will be equal to the weight of the imaginary cylinder. Weight of imaginary cylinder is m into z. From here, put the value of F2 and F1. F2 is P2 into A, F1 is P1 into A, and m we can write in the terms of known term, as we have the concept of density. So density into volume, if we will use that one, then obviously we can calculate mass. So density into now volume will be what? Area into this height h. So A into h we have. Now into z we have. Here A can be calculated and that will be cancelled out from here. Finally we will get P2 minus P1. This value is equal to h rho c. So this is now the extra pressure that is applied or that is changing from point P1 to P2. When we are moving to the downward up to a depth, then pressure is continuously increasing due to own weight of the liquid, and due to this continuous increase of the pressure, here we can see there is the pressure difference H rho z is created in the system. So this is now the variation of pressure with that we can move easily. Now this excess pressure H rho z is known as here gauge pressure. We are calling it by gauge pressure. So this one is now clear. After that one, the next topic we have, that is called hydrostatic paradox. So what is now the hydrostatic paradox? So paradox are actually a word we are using when some kind of confusions we have and we are solving that one. Like for that condition, hydrostatic paradox, we are just taking the different shapes of the vessels, and up to the same height we are filling water or any kind of liquid of same density. So suppose a liquid is filled of density rho. Now the amount that we have used for this vessel, that is of the same area, that is A. Similarly, another vessel we have used now, this is of this shape, but this area is A is equal, and up to the same height we have filled the same liquid now. This is rho here. Similarly, one more shape, let us consider this is now this shape. So here also up to the same height, suppose the liquid is filled here. This is now rho is filled, this is area. So hydrostatic paradox is saying that for the same height of the liquid, for the same type of liquid and area is same, whatever is the shape of the vessel, the pressure of the liquid is not depending on the shape of the liquid. Exactly it is saying the reason you can see the pressure variation is depending on three factors: the depth of the liquid or the height of the liquid column, density of the liquid, and gravity. So for this kind of shapes, gravity effect is obviously that is not very appreciable here. And now we can see easily, obviously gravity is same for every places. Rho is already seen, we have taken same kind of liquid, and up to same height we have filled. So H rho z is same, then it will be constant. So for every case of the here liquid or the shape of the vessel, it will apply the same pressure at A if it starts to emerge from here. So this kind of experiment, this is known as now the hydrostatic paradox. The reason for this paradox I have just told you why it is obtaining. And in this paradox, its value will start to change if we are going to use a different liquid, but it is completely just not dependent on the shape of the liquid or shape of the vessel or the size of the vessel. Now I think these two things are very clear: pressure variation and also here hydrostatic paradox with this one. After that, the next topic, let's see that is in the case of pressure is Pascal's law. Now the Pascal's law that is working for the same theory, that is we have studied just now, variation of pressure with depth. So variation of pressure, if P2 minus P1 we have, that is H rho z. So for this one case, if gravity effect is neglected, suppose we are neglecting the gravity effect, then that time it will become 0. This is P2 minus P1, and obviously this will be equal to P2 is equal to P1. Means if the gravity effect is neglected, then pressure at every point in the liquid will become equal. So this is concept of the Pascal, and this is now known as the Pascal's law. And if the second form of the law can be said at if somewhere at any point, suppose where the pressure is P1, at that point some excess pressure is created by some any kind of the application, then that time this pressure will start to transmit to other parts of the system until the pressure will become same. So this is now known as pressure transmission rule for the pressure transmission from one place to another place in the liquid. Now this is the Pascal's law that's application we are using in our daily life. Now one more thing, for you to use the Pascal's law, the liquid we should use here, that should have some properties, that should have ideal kind of liquid. So ideal liquid, you know that is incompressible, that is non-viscous liquid. So this kind of properties the ideal liquid is containing always. Next one, if we have to utilize the Pascal's law, then where can we apply it? So for that one, two of the applications we have studied already in classes. Now here again, let's see them to revise it. That is, the first one is hydraulic lift. The second is hydraulic brakes. So hydraulic lift is what now? First, let's see hydraulic lift. So in hydraulic lift, first of all, if I will make its construction, so we are using this kind of two cylinder here. That two cylinders are connected with a pipe, and now one cylinder we are using of larger area and one is of smaller area. So this cylinder, suppose this has larger area, that is capital A, the smaller one has small a. So this is capital A area, now this is smaller area, here small a, and this whole of the here pipe, that is filled with ideal liquid here. So this time is fitted with now the ideal liquid. Here what we are using a piston, frictionless piston we are using. So this is now the frictionless piston we have, through which we can apply the pressure. Now at this point we are putting the load that we have to lift now. Now how will we utilize in this system by this construction the Pascal's law? So Pascal law is saying when gravity effect is neglected, then that time pressure at every point will be same. So if you can see this instrument here, the gravity effect can be easily neglected. So pressure, if this is, suppose this is point A, this is point B. So if the pressure at A we will calculate, that is P, then pressure at B should be also P according to Pascal's law. Now whenever the pressure from here will change, then that pressure will be transmitted, if excess pressure will be created now here. So this is our working principle for the lift. If suppose through this piston we are applying some force, small f here, so due to application of this force, the pressure that will be created here, this will be F upon here, sorry, this point is here, F upon small a. Now here, due to application of this force, suppose here a force is also applied on the load, that is capital F. So P can be calculated at these places F by A, and as at both places pressure is always same due to the Pascal's law, we can easily get it. Then F by A can be written as small f by A. Now capital F can be calculated as A by A from here. So as we know, here capital A is much greater than small a, that is that area is large than this one area. So it means here from A by A, this is much greater than 1. From here we can see now F is F by F, you can also write, that will be equal to A by A from here. So this will be also much greater than 1, or F is much greater than small f from here. So a very large force will start to apply, even a very small force we will apply on the piston here, and due to this large force that is applied on this load can be easily lifted up here. So we are using this now principle to make the hydraulic lift very easily in our daily life. Next one, after this hydraulic lift application using Pascal's law, let's see the next topic of this chapter here, that is the concept of hydraulic brakes. So what is now the hydraulic brakes and how we are using it? In most of the vehicles we are using these times hydraulic brakes. So to design the hydraulic brakes, again let's see first is construction, then we will see how can we understand it. So for that one, to understand the concept of the hydraulic brakes, only a rough diagram I will give you here. First we are using a tube. Now through this tube, piston here, a tank is created, or this is fuel tank that we are using, where some of the liquid or the you can see the brake oils are contained in this one. Now this brake oil is connected with some of the piston, and now this piston is connected with some of the liquid tube, and then after that one, this whole of the system is connected to two of the other blades here, or two of the pistons now. So here in that case, what you can see, this is again here. In all this case, we are putting this liquid here, oil, and now one of the spring we have used here. So this is the spring S. Now this one is the rim of the wheel, and some of the pistons we are using here on this way. Suppose these are the two pistons or the brakes that we have applied. So this is very rough diagram for the case of the hydraulic brakes. Now this is our wheel, and these are now the two brakes that we have. Here we can see a portion that is connected with some spring, and in this spring here, obviously all of the things are applied. Now next one thing, after this, when we will apply the brake through this paddle, then due to that one here, due to on this liquid, suddenly excess pressure will be created, because before that one, when we are not applying any kind of brake, then that time pressure at every point is same, wheel is moving already. But suddenly if we have to apply the brake here, so due to application of brake, excess pressure is created, and due to Pascal's law, if whenever excess pressure will be created, that will be transmitted. So pressure will start to transmit from this point to this point in the liquid, and obviously this pressure will be divided into two parts, and it will transmit in this portion. So it means that on these two of the here brakes, some force will be applied, and also due to application of these forces, this here this whole brakes will start to go in the outward direction, and this spring will be stretched that time, and for the sufficient pressure, these two brakes will be in touch with this rim, and suddenly the wheel will start to stop their motion, and our car or vehicle will start to stop. So this is now our vehicle will stop automatically here. After that, this one, then the these brakes will starts to just connect with the rim now. So I think this is now clear. Now again, if we will remove the brake from there, then on the removal, as a force is now applied on the removal, as it is coming from this side to this side, so a force will apply to this side, and this force, as excess pressure will be created in this region, that excess pressure will start to transmit towards this, and as here the pressure will be balanced when we are just remove the paddle, and the brake shoes will leave the wheel, and again our vehicle will start to move. So this is now the application of Pascal's law, on which we can apply just to here brakes easily. Now next one, after this, our next topic of for the pressure here, the last topic is for just atmospheric pressure. So you know that the pressure applied by due to the gaseous envelope through which we are surrounded, that is called atmosphere, that is known as atmospheric pressure, and that atmospheric pressure is also changing with the height, in the same way like we have discussed the variation of pressure. Now the first experiments was done for the calculation of atmospheric pressure by Torricelli using mercury. So he has done it by taking the mercury in a tube, and then in test tube, and then by just putting the thumb, and then means in test tube he has taken the mercury, and then he has dipped the whole of the test tube in a mercury ball or the ball filled with the mercury, and then he removed his thumb and note the level up to which the liquid is just go up to some height, or exactly already the mercury is filled, so he has noted the level that is fall down. So he has found that the atmospheric pressure, due to that one, and because of the atmospheric pressure, the level starts to fall down, and that is obtained as 76 mm of the mercury column. And obviously using that 76 mm, we can calculate the atmospheric pressure, that is equal to H rho Z. So H has value 76 cm, rho has value, you know, that is the density of mercury 13.6, and the G has value, that is 980. We can calculate the atmospheric pressure in the terms of just 9% centimeter square, or also we can convert into in Newton, that is called 1 atmospheric pressure. So this is all I think we have cleared. Now the next one in very rough summary I will tell you, that is buoyancy. So whenever any of the body is dipped in the water, then water exerts thrust on that body. So that thrust is known as buoyant force, and that property is known as buoyancy. So students, with this revision on the pressure, let's end our just class here. In next class, first we will revise again Archimedes principle in detail and law of flotation. Then we will start to move for the conceptual and numerical problem. So thank you students for today.